Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today's video is all about home decor that I will be using in my fall decor or when I do my fall decorating. These are thrifted items that I have thrifted way before, and I have decided to upcycle them so I can use them in my fall decor. So they're not necessarily fall DIYs, but they are DIYs that will be used during fall decorating. So I'm starting off with this vase. Now, I don't think this is an actual vase. I do think it is a wine bottle, but I did thrift it a while back for, I think it was like $1, and it was a bluish color. I used it many times in my decor before as it was, but with the current change of my home decor, it no longer works for me. So I wanted to give it a new life because I really like the shape of it. So I'm going to be painting it with some chalk paint, but I wanted it to have a very thick consistency so I could see the brush strokes on top of it. So I added some cornstarch to my Athenian black Annie Sloan chalk paint. You don't have to use any Sloan chalk paint. You can use any chalk paint that you can find. I just work with any Sloan chalk paint a lot with furniture upcycling, so I always have some of it on hand. So you want to make the consistency to be a lot thicker than what the chalk paint is, but not too thick that it can't be applied with a brush. So once I paint the whole piece, I let it dry. Now at that point, you could add some wax to it if you wanted to give it extra protection. You can also spray it with a protective spray, or you can just leave it as is. It is totally up to you. Just keep in mind, depending on what type of a finish you put on, some are very shiny. I prefer a more of a matte look, so I always go for the matte finish.
We don't belong here. I want more out of life. The longer we stay here, our boots get stuck in the mud. Let's pack up a life, baby, and call it a night. 'Cause the longer we stay here, the harder the fight.
I really like the shape of this bottle, and I think adding the black paint to it just made it look very high-end, almost like something that you would find at Pottery Barn. I did add some pampas grass right now in my dining room because I'm doing the whole early fall decorating right now. For my next project, actually my friend thrifted this for me. It is a kitchen scale. It was like a royal blue color, which did not work for me again, but I wanted to have a scale in my decor so bad, and then she found this and picked it up for me. It was $10. So I decided to paint it. I am going to paint it with the same paint that I have painted the bottle with, or the vase. I am going to thin it out a little bit with water though, so it's not as thick. I did give it a good cleaning first because it was very dusty. I've had it for a while now, but with all the home renovations, I did not want it to do anything with it until I was certain how I wanted it to look.
I said, yeah, call it a start by leaving behind what's breaking our hearts. I said, yeah, follow the spark. Ain't nothing but a one way. We won't regret this. kiss the past goodbye. I'm longing to live this free life I've been hearing about. You will see us howling like wolves in the night.
I used a smaller brush just to get into all the little crevices that the big brush couldn't fit into.
'Cause nothing is stronger than wanting what you might get. I said, hey, yeah, 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 call it a start by leaving behind.
Once it was done, I let it dry, and while that was drying, I decided that I wanted to add some rustic look to it. But I didn't have any like a bronze color paint is what I was kind of looking for. So I ended up getting some gold, red, and brownish type of paint, colored paint, just to create that look of like almost like rusted. I wanted to add some rusted edges to it. So I ended up blending these three colors just with the brush by getting a little bit from each and then just mixing them together. And then I applied that to just any edges where I thought, the rust would show through in an old scale. Now the paint isn't dry completely, which is fine because it did aid to the blending of all the paints.
What's breaking our hearts? I said, hey, yeah, 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 follow the spark. Ain't nothing but a one way. Ain't no worries. Ain't no worries. Don't you worry about a thing. Don't you? Oh, 'cause as long as we're together, home can be a million different.
I just love the way this turned out, and I think it looks so good on top of my new to me hutch that I have in my dining room. I have green apples and pears in it right now, but I'm planning 100% to use it with some pumpkins.
Things. I said, hey, yeah, 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 call it a start.
My last project that I'm going to be upcycling is the Tcard. Now this is the second time I think in the last year that I'm doing this, but this was just not working for me anymore. So I'm going to be using the same Athenian black, and then I had picked up the velour rollers. Now a while back I was talking about this when I was redoing my hutch, that they said that you can use chalk paint with some velour rollers, but I couldn't find any. I did pick some up at Home Depot, and I thought I'd give them a try and see how they end up working, whether they're worth looking for or whether the sponge rollers would work just as the same. And I'm happy to report that I saw absolutely no difference between the two. So just stick to the sponge rollers. They're much cheaper and easier to find. So I rolled on the paint on all the areas that I could, and then the rest of it I use my chalk paintbrush just to paint
I'm
it.
leaving behind what's breaking our hearts. I said, hey, yeah, 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 follow the spark. Ain't nothing but a one way. Hey, yeah, 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 call it a start by leaving behind what's breaking our hearts. I said, hey, yeah, 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 follow the spark. Ain't nothing but a one way.
I do end up removing the big wheels just because it was a little bit too hard for me to get in behind and paint it, and that way I was able to paint both sides of the wheel as well.
It's breaking our hearts. I said, hey, yeah, 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 follow the spark. Ain't nothing but a one way. Ain't nothing but a one way. We don't belong here. I want more out of life. The longer we stay here, our boots get stuck in the mud.
So once the wheels were painted and dry, I did spray them with a protective coat, just a Rust-Oleum matte finish protective coat, before I applied some gilding wax, and I applied the gilding wax to the middle of the front of the wheels as well as the little knob on the drawer. I just love the little extra gold touches on this Tcard. I think it just ties in the rest of the home decor that I have in my home. I am going to be using this Tcard in my dining room, and I am loving how it looks currently with the little green apples, but I think it's going to look even better once I move from the harvest into the more of a pumpkin look. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know which one was your favorite, and I'll see you all in my next one. Thanks so much for watching.